Nothing is impossible. The word itself says, I'm possible. Audrey Hepburn.
You know, I was looking at quotes online and I saw that one not too long ago and I almost chose that as well. I like that one.
It's just like delightful, and also I simply adore Audrey Hepburn. I mean, come on.
She's a little bit of a word nerd right there.
A little bit of a word nerd. I mean, like, it goes against how the English language is structured, but it's certainly a wonderful way of looking at it. I'm gonna I might steal that. Be like, nothing's impossible. The word itself says I'm possible.
Yeah.
So thanks, Audrey. Queen. Anyway.
You did it, yes. Hello!
And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of
PositiviTea.
This is the podcast where we bring you good vibes by the spoonful.
Oh,
you okay, Jacob?
I am yawning, yes.
Oh, wow. Jacob's
Excuse me.
yawning machine. Anyway, I am your host, Miss Mary Lou Ryan.
I'm also your host, Jacob Kahn.
And this is the first time Jacob has had caffeine all day.
It's been a couple days, in fact.
Well, you had hot chocolate last night. We had epic hot chocolate last night.
Tiny bit of caffeine.
Yeah, Jacob likes to make homemade hot chocolate with real hot chocolate. Hot chocolate.
With real chocolate that's hot.
Yeah, and then sweeten it with maple syrup and put salt and nutmeg in
Girl.
it. Oh, I only drank half of mine last night, so I had the other half before this. And now I'm
Jealous.
having tea. Oh, shoot. Anywho, I'm super glad to be back. I
Me
freaking love the
too.
podcast. It's the highlight of my dang week.
Yeah.
And actually, speaking of highlights, I should say this before we get too far into it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jacob and I were invited to do a panel
Yeah.
at the Fan Film Awards. That's this Saturday at the Pasadena Central Library on the 4th floor at 2 p.m. And our segment is called Invest in Your Awesomeness.
Right?
I know. We were referred by a listener, friend of the Miss Mary Lou YouTube channel, T Spectral. So really, really incredible to be invited to this like nerd fan film fest.
Filter fest? Yes.
Filter
Fest.
Yeah, and be invited to talk about being positive. They're like, I think you'd be a good fit, and I'm like, oh, you're not wrong. So
Which we like to do, and we do it frequently now.
yeah, so we're going to be doing that this Saturday, February 2nd, I believe. Yes, at 2 p.m., Pasadena Central Library. So invest in your awesomeness. Who doesn't want to attend a panel like that?
Yeah.
This is our first time doing anything like this.
Well,
and
yeah.
it's
This is
kind
a
of
relatively
nerve-wracking.
young podcast, so it's the first time that it's been anything other
Yeah.
than this.
What is this, episode 12?
That's it.
I mean, that's like 3 months worth of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It still feels like we just started and we have no idea what we're doing, but I'm glad that it's been wonderful for your ears.
But come watch a panel we're hosting.
Yeah, it'll be super fun.
Yeah.
And tea will be provided by T Spectral.
It is going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
we're very
It's going to be
excited.
a fluff and blast. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Jacob,
Yes.
while we're on the subject of tea and stuff, what are you drinking?
All right. So this is Caddy Kitty's afternoon gossip tea from Loose Leaf Women. This is a lavender and Darjeeling blend, and it's delightful.
So, we obviously, if you've listened to the podcast at all, you know that we're pretty awesome at decluttering, and I love it, and it's super fun.
We're pretty
And
awesome
we're
at it.
pretty awesome at
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's a journey, ever evolving. But we discovered we only had like 2 cups worth of this tea left. And Jacob just said, we got to get some more tea with lavender. And I was like, we have some. The last bit of it.
Well, we
Caddy
need
Kitty's
more.
afternoon gossip tea from Loose Leaf Women.
Because
It's
lavender
so
tea
lovely.
is delightful.
Yo, and I'm so picky about lavender. It says even on the tin, a whisper of lavender. And I actually spoke to the woman who like owns the company and blends the teas and stuff. And she was like, yeah, yo, I'm not a huge lavender fan either.
I can hear it. I can hear the whisper.
Can you hear the lavender whisper?
It's really warming my soul, though.
It is.
so.
Is it too hot? I haven't had any yet.
Not.
I'm also
like
drinking that
No,
today,
it's not
by
too
the way,
hot.
if you haven't picked up on that by now. Ooh.
Yeah, we're sharing this beautiful lavender
Oh,
experience.
it's hot though, but it's
not,
good.
It's not that hot.
I have a sensitive palate.
Excuse me.
Anywho, Jacob, last week you talked about you were working on making tea as like a daily ritual for yourself to kind of ground you in the moment. So
Yeah.
tell me about that. How's that been going?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, today is actually the first time I've had caffeine or any tea in a few days. I've actually been not having the energy or the time or feeling like I do to do it, unfortunately. So I'm gonna try to
You're humans.
pick that back up because it does feel really good to do. But yeah, it's been about 3 days since I've actually been able to get myself to do that in the morning. But that's okay.
You did make the tea for us for the podcast today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's very nice.
So last week you were trying to schedule things out more to have a set idea of where you were headed for the week before you try to dive into it. How's that going?
It's actually been going really great. I have an interesting few weeks coming up because Jacob and I are going to be going out of town mid-February, and we're going to be with family, and I would really like to not be working full-time on content for the channel and the podcast while I'm there.
Sensible.
Yeah, so I have a schedule all laid out for the rest of this week and all of next week that will hopefully get me on track so that I am not working like a mad woman while we are there. I should have all but one episode edited and uploaded, ready to go.
Before we leave.
It's
intense.
Yeah. If I fall a little behind, I can do some editing on the plane, but that's totally cool.
Cool.
Yeah. And our lives are a little bit, it's going to become a little unpredictable as of late because we are moving.
Yeah.
Which we're super excited about.
We really are.
Yeah, we can get kitties.
Yeah.
We've wanted kitties for so long, and now we can finally have them.
We're going to have a little kitty.
Obviously, like, not until we're settled into the new place, but our current place does not allow pets at all, and it's been that way for the last, 5+ years we've been in this place?
Yeah.
And timing was right.
It was.
Doing the thing.
It was right. It feels weird. We've lived here for a while. It does feel
it does feel weird because, we really make an effort when we live together, and we've lived in a few places together now that we really make wherever we're living feel like home.
Yeah.
And it's been our favorite place in Los Angeles for the last 5 years-ish plus since we've been here. And so it kind of feels a little weird to be leaving a place that feels like home. But once furniture starts leaving and all of that stuff. So February is going to be a little off kilter for us.
Yeah.
So those of you watching, you'll have a couple more podcasts in the setup because we are going to try to record them ahead of time.
Oh, we'll figure out a new setup once we get there.
But yeah, so it'll be a surprise when we get in the new place. It might be a little echoey for a while until we get stuff in there, but it'll be a super fun time. All right. So Jacob, how about this week? What's been your self-care experiment?
Well, sort of going along with what we were just talking about, I've actually done a lot of big things this past week, things that I've been meaning to do for a while, but just have been putting off and putting off and putting off. One of them was applying for apartments and trying to get a new place because we've been wanting to do that for a while, and we did it.
We did. We usually ended up talking ourselves out of it for some way, somehow, but we are going to find a way to freaking make it work. Our security deposit is already in. We get the keys this week.
I mean, it's not any less scary now that it's done, but it is exciting that I'm just moving forward with it, that I am not holding myself back because of the fear anymore.
Yeah, it's like we're on this train. There's no backing out now.
Which is, it's what we want, and it's very exciting. There've been a couple other things, some related to that, but big things this past week that I've also just been like, I'm gonna do it. I've been putting it off forever. I'm gonna go do it.
You took a big trip to the recycling center this week, and
we got rid of a lot of stuff. Center. So we also have been really kicking the clutter out, which is nice.
Yeah.
And we in particular have been trying to get rid of and have put up for sale a couple of big pieces of furniture that we just don't need or want anymore. So that's been good. I have a short series of scripts really with a friend that I've been meaning to film for a long time, and this past week we were just like, you know what, we can get a space, we can get in there with a camera and some lights, let's just go and do it. I've been putting it off forever, and we got it filmed, and I think it's going to turn out really nice, really good, so that's exciting.
Yeah, if you want to see actually the first episode of that series, I worked on it as well as the cinematographer, director, editor, sound designer, etc.
Yeah.
And Jacob and Scott wrote it and are the actors in it. It's called Fed Inside. I'll include that in the show notes because I think the pilot turned out really, really well. And I mean, these guys have a bajillion scripts that are hilarious and bite-sized. The tagline is what? Fed Inside, Life Bites. I think is the tag, which is kind of brilliant. I'll link what we currently have on our current fedinside.com website in the show notes so people can check that out and look forward to knowing that more are coming.
Yeah, please do. Check it out. So anyway, just been trying to take the larger leap towards things that I want instead of holding myself back. So I did a couple big things this week. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, like fear can have such a clutch on us and our decision making and even how we feel on a daily basis, and it's nice to just rip off the band-aid, as they say, and be like, you know what, fear, you can take a back seat for a little while. I think we can do this.
Yeah, I mean, fear is just that. It's just fear. It's just a thought. It's not a real danger to you. It's just what's keeping you from moving forward.
Keep moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing this week for yourself?
All right. So this is cycling back to something that I was self-care experimenting earlier on in the podcast. I have been really exhausted this week. And instead of being mad at myself about it and blaming myself for it, because I do think the things that I put my time and energy into this week have been worthwhile and wonderful, I just sleep.
Yeah.
I've really given in this week to my body's need to just sleep. And I know I was going through this a lot when I was more fresh out of ankle surgery, but I'm still not out of it yet. I'm only halfway through.
Right.
I just still can't do all the things I want to do. And I even said out loud the other day, I just wish I could do more. I wish I could do more things, but I can't. And, I'll probably never be able to do the things that everything. No one can do everything.
Well, no one can do everything, but you will someday be able to do as much as you used to be able to do before this injury. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get back to 100% you. So.
Yeah. So instead of beating myself up that I still can't stand at the stove and cook dinner, I can still sit on the floor and declutter the cupboards in the hallway and stuff like that. So it's just not only just listening to my body and freaking sleeping. I think I was much busier one day than I intended to be. I think I was only awake 9 hours the day afterwards.
Oh.
And I just woke up late, went to bed early because my body was like, nope. We watched one episode of Game of Thrones and I'm like, I'm tired.
I'm not quite at 15 hours yet, so put me back to bed, please. Is what your body said.
I super needed it. So anyway, it's not guilting myself about giving myself the rest my body needs, and also not guilting myself about all the things I can do that I couldn't do even a short time ago. So
that's good. You listen to your body.
Yeah, I'm trying real hard to work guilt out of my daily headspace because it's there a lot.
Who has time for it?
I mean, apparently I have for a lot of my life.
Who has
guilt is just
a need for it?
I know, no one really. I just because of stuff, I just like to automatically assume everything is my fault, which isn't good. I'm working on it. It's progress. Progress.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community news. Welcome to our next segment, Community News, where I know we take submissions of good things throughout your weeks, the listeners, and we give you a little shout out when we celebrate your general awesomeness. Yeah, big or small. And, we started a new thing last week where on Instagram, whether it's on your stories or your main feed, if something good has happened to you this week that you have a picture for, just do hashtag PositiviTea, that's TEA podcast, and tag me at Miss Mary Lou, and I look forward to sharing all of your happy pictures in my Instagram stories and making it an even cozier hub than it already is.
It's very exciting.
Yeah. All right, so all of our community news this week actually comes from Facebook.
Okay.
Facebook came through. All three are Facebook. So the first two I'm going to start with are actually related in topic.
Oh, okay.
So the first one is from Liz Ryan, and I'm going to read them both, and then we're going to talk about it, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so Liz Ryan says, after more than a decade, I get to pick up a copy of Kingdom Hearts 3. I even found new Kingdom Hearts sleep pants to wear while I'm playing the game. And Zach Rich says, Kingdom Hearts 3, a game I have been waiting 13 years for, was released today. I'm still waiting for my copy to arrive in the mail, but once it does, I will be lost in a wave of nostalgia, Mickey Mouse, and anime hair.
Oh my God. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Kingdom Hearts was a game released on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
PlayStation 2. And it's basically just a beautiful role-playing adventure game that interweaves in and out of all of your favorite Disney characters and storylines with beautiful graphics, music, writing. Just like a truly stunning game. And it has been 13 years waiting for this game.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. And I know like for a lot of people in our generation, that game really shaped them, got them through a lot. This game means so much to so many people.
You know, I haven't played this particular game, but I am familiar with the feeling that a game can provide, a game like that that's so immersive and so spellbinding with just its story and the way it takes you in, and the effect that can have on your life. And that's so cool.
Oh yeah,
that it's finally coming to fruition. I can't believe it's been that long. 13 years.
And people that I've heard talk about this, whether it's on Twitter or in real life, all of their reaction is the same.
Yeah.
That they are just so in awe. It's like they're preteens again, you know?
Yeah.
Playing the game, because video games for you and I as well, it's been a big part of our lives and a big source of joy. Like even now we're still hooked on Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Oh, yeah.
Which talk about a stunning immersive game. Well, very different, but
it's so interactive, imaginative, that style of art that pulls you in and really takes you and puts you in that world. And it's not as much escapism as it is just really like engaging your imaginative tools.
Yeah,
cool.
It makes you care, but not like care in a bad way where it's like manipulating you to waste your life away on it, etc., etc. But like video games are just, I mean, everyone has different tastes, obviously. I'm definitely a big role-playing game or RPG style video game player myself. So I just thought your anecdotes this week for Liz and Zach, I wanted to mention both of you because I thought it was really, I just love hearing people talk about things that they love, and I am stoked for both of you to play the game. Although by the time this comes out, you both may be playing it already.
Probably.
And might not take a break from your gameplay to listen to this. But you know, I'll tag you in it so you do see it eventually.
Well, we're excited nonetheless.
Yeah, we're very, very excited.
That's
for
awesome.
You.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. This one is actually from Cindy Darling, and it is simply, Hi Cindy Darling, we adore you. Old friend of ours.
Yeah.
It's just 3 words. And I was surprised by these 3 words, honestly, because I feel like it's usually put in a negative context.
Oh, okay.
When I asked for good news, Cindy Darling said, lake effect snowstorm, ! Almost, okay, so a little backstory here. Jacob and I grew up all of our lives in snowy climates where it's, well, for me anyway, it was winter for about 9 months of the year, and then like with really humid, miserable summer, soggy springs, and a spectacular but all too brief fall. we're in Southern California now, and it's still surreal to us that it was like 75 and stunning today.
Right.
But almost every time I hear adults talk about snow, with the exception of the first snowfall of the year, but anytime after that, it's always complaining. Oh, I hate snow. Oh, I want it to be spring. How dare you post a picture of you on the beach in February? Blah, 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 blah. But Cindy Darling is excited.
So that's exactly where I was going to go. So I remember being little. The last time I was excited about snow, I was very little. Because to me, being an adult and having to do adult things with snow, I've always just associated the inconvenience of having to deal with snow in order to do adult things.
Oh, same. I've said myself, I love the snow, but I hate having responsibilities as an adult in the snow.
And so I love this reaction to, because it's a very like childlike wonder and enjoying the little things in life and the happy things in life, and being excited about snow is like,
it's one of those things. And for those of you,
why can't you be excited about snow, right? Like, it's pretty and you can play in it, and I love it.
So for those of you that don't know what lake effect snow specifically is, it's basically when a cloud forms over one of the Great Lakes or one of the Finger Lakes or wherever you happen to be, and generally the weather moves from west to east. So in New York, where we grew up, basically as the cloud is over the lake, it collects and collects and collects and gets more and more and more and more and more and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as soon as it hits the land,
so you get really intense
dumped on. But
snowfall.
It's also the big fluffy snow globy kind of snow. Typically, it's really magical.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, and I was really excited to see this in the good news and not in the like, I have to do this. And because, I got to that point with snow by the time we left for California.
But, makes you think, though, you don't have to deal with it in that way. Even if it is something that you really have to scrape off your car in order to get somewhere. You don't have to make it a negative thing. Like, you can look at it as, snow is amazing and I get to live in a place with snow. There are lots of things that are complicated and difficult and hard about being, an adult or having to do things in general. We don't focus on or complain about all of them all the time because that would just be a miserable existence.
Yeah, like in Los Angeles, people talk a lot about how traffic sucks, but I try not to.
But that's the thing. Even the things you pick and choose to complain about, you don't necessarily need to focus on those things as negatives. In fact, I get a lot of listening to my favorite podcasts and news shows in the car while I'm stuck in traffic in LA.
Right? And I love putting on NPR or jazz radio, honestly, or the classical station.
I wouldn't have really gained that connection to any of that public radio or podcast that I listen to because I don't have another medium really for listening to the radio except for being in the car. Some of my favorite conversations with people have happened in the car when I've been stuck in traffic and have been inspired by being stuck in traffic. It's not always a negative thing.
Like we make it a good experience to be in the car. So those of you stuck in your snowy homes, we have a little bit of an activity for you. And if you take a picture of this wonderful moment, tag PositiviTeaPodcast and at Miss Mary Lou so I can see it.
Yeah.
Try making your own hot chocolate.
Yeah.
It was warm yesterday and we still made it because it's delicious and I love it.
Also, if you build a snowman, pictures, please.
Did you notice I didn't burst into song once? You should be so proud of me because it's been so tempting the entire time.
There's still time, though.
We should probably move on to the next segment.
Moving on. Good news, everyone. I have good news.
It's good news.
Yeah, this is the part where we bring you a good news story. Something that is happy in the news.
Yeah, and again, it's important to stay informed about the goings-on in the world, but it's not necessarily healthy for, my brain at least, to be consumed by it.
No.
So every week, Jacob dives into the depths of the interwebs.
That was me diving. That was the sound of me diving.
Yeah, that was a good sound. Anywho, Jacob, what do you have for us today?
All right, so this has been going on for a little while now, but I did not know about it until today. Which is very exciting.
It's very exciting.
So there is a nonprofit organization called Yoga for First Responders.
Oh, I like the sound of this already.
It is exactly what it sounds like. It is an organization dedicated to teaching and practicing yoga with first responders, firefighters, paramedics, police. So this was started in 2013. It's been going on for almost 6 years now. And it was actually started in Los Angeles.
Wow. That's what we are.
This lady, Olivia Mead, who was working with military veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, using yoga as a means to cope with that, sort of thought, if it can help with people who are post-trauma, why couldn't it also be incredibly useful for people who are dealing with trauma on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, and first responders, they are in all different kinds of situation all day long for their jobs, whether they're volunteers or otherwise.
I mean, with no real clear end in sight too. That's a career that guarantees trauma daily.
Yeah.
And so this was a sort of an experiment at the Los Angeles Fire Department almost 6 years ago now. But it is kind of blown up and expanded. They're now working with 35 police and fire departments across the U.S.
Yes.
The Chicago Police Academy has their training as a part of its syllabus. It's required training.
That's awesome.
Super cool.
So I take it that this whole idea was a success.
Yeah, it's been received very well.
Yoga's great. I've been practicing yoga on and off for the last 15 years or so.
I've done a bit of yoga here and there. I've never really had it as a routine, but it has definitely been very helpful for me and for my own stress and anxiety. And I mean, I don't deal with any trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Like the way that a first responder would.
Oh my gosh. So those of you who tuned into the podcast last week, we were talking about how Jacob was in the hospital. He's feeling much better now. But while we were waiting in emergency to wait for a room to open up so he could be admitted, they didn't even have any rooms left, but they know they needed to keep an eye on him. So we were actually just in the hallway with Jacob on a stretcher. And we saw all day long. We were in the emergency, probably from
5 hours.
No,
or so.
it was longer than that, because I
6
think
hours?
we finally got back there at 3, and then you got admitted at 10.
7 hours.
Yeah, so all day long we were seeing the same firefighters, the same EMTs, just in and out and in and out. We saw the same people 6 times.
Right.
And every single time it was a different person, a different situation. And they are just nonstop. And they have to expect the unexpected, basically.
They have to really think on their feet and be able to react and be.
Exactly, because, the situation they're
heroes.
walking into is not going to be the same situation they walked out of.
Right.
And this is all day, every day. And it was really interesting to kind of be aware of the chaos, actually seeing how the machine works and just how insane it is.
Yeah.
Doing this line of work can definitely have more of a mental and physical impact than your day-to-day office job.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine doing that kind of traumatic, hard work and then coming home to try and
be a normal life,
do normal things.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of personal too.
And then to get up the next day and do it again.
Yeah, the firefighters run in my family on my dad's side. They're still firefighters on my dad's side of the family, and even when they are home, they always have the radio on in the kitchen, and if someone needs help, they drop everything. If they're at dinner, if they're this, that, and the other thing, they drop their lives to go help someone in need.
Incredible respect for that. Talk about anxiety for me, thinking about having to be ready to go and do that at any moment.
It takes a special kind of person.
And what I love about this is that yoga is the sort of activity that really puts you into the moment and takes you out of the anticipation. It puts you into yourself and in the moment and living where you are now and slowing down and being present.
It's absolutely a body strengthening, stretching, relaxation thing, but it also hugely involves your mind.
Yeah.
Like yoga's kind of a nice like gateway midway to get into, you know, meditation, because
Right.
if a firefighter, say, has been running around all day literally putting out fires or driving people in an ambulance to the hospital, like just saying, hey, can you just sit on the floor and then like just think about your breathing, it would be too, I feel like it would almost be too much for a lot of people, especially if their adrenaline is going and whatever. So adding that physical element, thinking about your body and your posture, moving through poses, and then also engaging your mind and thinking about your breathing, it's kind of the perfect happy medium.
Right, and being able to practice connecting all of those things, all of those moving parts within yourself in a way that works, what is balanced and works well, even under stress, even in intense moments, or when resources are limited. Like, let's say in the example of firefighters who have maybe an oxygen tank when they're running into a building.
Right.
It's only so much air for so much time. If you are better able to use your breath and connect it to your motion and your activity, you know, that can be a huge
literal lifesaver.
Yeah, right?
I mean, like, my favorite part about this whole nonprofit organization is, like, first responders are gonna be some of the most important people we will ever encounter ever. Like, literally the difference between life and death.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's you think you're having a heart attack or your house is on fire. Like, these are really important people, and they're doing it for people just like us all day, every day.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and it's important to remember that too, because luckily, you know, we were in the emergency room the other day and we saw a lot of it because of that. But we're not in the emergency room every day.
No,
thank goodness.
It doesn't
and we don't
stop,
have
but
emergency
it's still
situations
happening
every day.
Yeah.
And so we don't maybe think about this all the time, or as much as, you know, maybe we should. But
yeah, well, and also I feel like it's a big way of, it's like taking care of your neighbor, like being neighborly to people, you know, taking care of those and they take care of you. And I really love that. I mean, I grew up in small town America, so when you move in, like, brownies and cookies from like 10 neighbors just kind of arrive at your door.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this is a good application of that, right? You're taking care of the people who will inevitably end up taking care of you or someone you love.
Mm-hmm.
It's like cookies, but better.
Yeah.
All right, Jacob.
No.
I think that's it for the podcast today.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That was really nice. I always feel warm and fuzzy after we do these. I hope that you listening feel the same way. And you know what my top complaint is about the podcast?
What's that?
I mean, really, it's the only complaint, is that it's not long enough.
I've definitely heard that from people.
Yeah. And, you know, a half an hour-ish, you know, maybe a little longer sometimes is just kind of what we're feeling right now. But things evolve over time. And, of course, there's always the Miss Mary Lou YouTube channel if you need extra little bursts of sunshine throughout your week, because I do put out 2 videos a week there as well, every Sunday and Tuesday. So if you need a little extra positivity, but not quite a podcast, come hang out with me. And I'd really love to see you.
We encourage anybody and everybody to talk about these things talk about positive things out loud with others as well. It's been super beneficial for us just even in this half-hour format once weekly to have.
Yeah, just to say these things like, hey, this is what I'm doing to better myself, or hey, I heard about this awesome thing happening in the world, or with people that we're connected to. It helps create the environment
to engage with that in positive environment.
And to make that positive environment a reality.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to talk to your friends, talk to each other in the YouTube comments of this video. Mm-hmm. Tag me on your happy moments.
Yeah.
#PositiviTeaPodcast at Miss Mary Lou on Instagram, and like celebrate and surround yourself with the positive atmosphere that you want to see. Because I mean, that's why I made this. I felt that was lacking in my life. Mm-hmm. And Jacob, you've been wonderful, and you're such a part of this. Like, we're in this together.
We are fighting crime.
We're crime fighters.
With positivity.
Positivity with Jacob and Mary. All right, Jacob, do you have a positive quote to wrap up the podcast for us this week?
Well, I do have a quote. I don't know if it's positive or not. It's not negative, but I just find it amusing, and I wanted to share it with the world.
If it makes us giggle, it's worth it.
So this is apparently an Einstein quote. Once you can accept the universe as matter expanding into nothing that is something, wearing stripes with plaid comes easy.
And Einstein supposedly said this.
Yeah.
That's kind of great, though, because it's like, it's a perspective shift,
You know, it's almost a bit nihilistic, but at the same time, it's just so goofy and nonchalant and just a throwaway, like, yeah, I'm wearing silly things that look weird, but I like it.
I kind of take it as a don't sweat the small stuff kind of quote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, sure, seek purpose in life and do better things, but when you think about just the vast expanse of the universe, especially when you get to the quantum mechanic level and you're a super smart person like Albert Einstein, what you put on that day, I guess, if it's stripes and plaid, you go Glen Coco.
Yeah.
Is that Albert Einstein's way of saying you go Glen Coco? for you, Glen Coco? Sure. We'll leave it there.
Love it.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast this week.
Yeah.
So we hope you have a wonderful week.
And we'll see you next Thursday.
Bye. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this week on the PositiviTea podcast. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Mary Lou, at PositiviTea, TEA podcast at gmail.com. And we are also on YouTube at the Miss Mary Lou YouTube channel. Wherever you are listening to us, please give us a like, a follow, a share, and leave a nice review. We would appreciate a little bit of positivity in our lives. The logo design is by Hilda Meyer Post. The music is by my co-host, Jacob Kahn. I am your co-host, Miss Mary Lou Ryan, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on Thursday.